Good afternoon. We're going to check that sound. There we go. All right. Good afternoon. I'm Kirsten Ellenbogen. I'm President and CEO here at Great Lakes Science Center. And I want to start by welcoming Mayor Bibb to the Science Center, back to the Science Center. I want to thank all of our elected officials, and let me pause right now and ask our elected officials to please stand and be recognized. Hi. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Harsh. All right, we appreciate your attendance today. We're grateful to have you. And I have to say, it's such a great day at Great Lakes Science Center. This event, but I will tell you, the way we started our morning was putting some students of ours in our robotics initiative on a plane to Ecuador, because they have been developing, using their robotic skills to build prosthetics for children in Ecuador, and they are on their way today to deliver them and to train students in Quito to start designing their own robotics and their own prosthetics. And it's just a perfect tie-in today as we think about the future of the lakefront, because when we think about the future of Cleveland and this region, we think about the great possibilities that our children deserve. So we're particularly happy to have you here today as we think about the possibilities for our lakefront, the potential as a space for joy, as a place for healing in our city, and as an opportunity to be an incredible economic driver for our region. This is a once-in-a-generation alignment between city, community leadership, and the people of Cleveland to advance North Coast Lakefront through a vision led by Cleveland Mayor Bibb. This is a call for equitably redeveloped, resilient, welcoming downtown lakefront for all Clevelanders. Now today we have a special program, so let me start with a big thank you to Hub's Groove for starting us off so wonderfully. I want you to open all of our events. That was great. Then you'll hear from Cleveland Mayor Justin Bibb about the bold new future for Cleveland's lakefront, centered on the work of the master plan developed by James Corner Field Operations, JCFO, and their team of consultants, including Robert P. Madison Incorporated. And I have to pause here because I can't say anything about Bob Madison today. It's one day from his 100th birthday, right? Yeah, let's hear it. I walk around this building all the time and marvel and think back to the very first tour of this building that Robert Madison did for me, local architect of record on Great Lakes Science Center, all the brilliant things designed into this facility and in so many of our landmarks here in Cleveland. It's a very special week here in Cleveland as we think about Mr. Madison. So you will, as we go through the program, you'll hear a presentation by JCFO sharing initial thoughts and sketches for the emerging North Coast Lakefront Master Plan. We'll hear a community panel featuring Mayor Bibb and representatives from JCFO, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, and Third Space Action Lab. For the final part of the program, we are looking for your feedback and input. You'll be invited to interact with displays around the room and engage the leadership and all the team here in conversation. So we're expecting that feedback from the community to continue through the summer. We are excited about continuing to engage the community in shaping this plan, and there will be plenty more to come on that. But now it is my great pleasure to introduce Mayor Justin Bibb. And I will say my first conversations, you can come up. I was told to do a little bit of an intro as if you need one. Our first conversations when you came back to Cleveland and in my early years in Cleveland were about evaluation, research, and the best ways to really understand what a community needs and wants. I can't think of a better leader to be moving us forward in this plan. Mayor Justin Bibb.
Thank you, Kristen, so much. We continue to be so proud of the work you're doing to elevate STEM education for our young scholars all across the city, and we're so happy to have you as an amazing partner for this compelling vision for the lakefront. And I have to tell you this, on Sunday, I put an extra couple bucks in the offering plate to make sure we had good weather here today. So thank my pastor, and thank the Lord at the same time. But I'm just so excited to kick off this community-centered vision for our lakefront. And I first want to begin my remarks, my very brief remarks, because I want to make sure we spend a lot of time hearing about this new master plan. Really just thanking all the community partners, but particularly the residents, because your voice and your vision is what's going to guide this plan. Let's thank all of our residents who showed up throughout this process. Really appreciate it. You know, about 2 days ago, we were at Nuevo for a panel conversation about the lakefront. And Steve Litt asked me this question about what makes this plan different and what gives me hope about this process. And I reflected for a moment on my own childhood as a working class black kid from the Southeast side. You know, I didn't visit the West Side Market till I was a junior in high school when I was a member of Look Up to Cleveland. My first time going to the lakefront was actually at Burke as a freshman going to the air show. As a black kid growing up in this city, we always felt that the lakefront was not for us. It was for rich white folks on the west side. What gives me hope today is that young people in this city, not just from the east side but the west side, but young people yet to be born, now will have a bit more hope and a bit more optimism that this lakefront will be for them too. And that's important. And that's what this plan is all about. And when our administration took office a long year and a half ago, hasn't been that long, by the way, we made a very intentional commitment to make sure that this plan wasn't drawn up in the stodgy, stuffy boardrooms of the Union Club, but it was really centered in barbershops, salons, churches, grocery stores, to really make sure that this vision will create the people's lakefront for the next generation. And so buckle up, stay tuned. We have a lot more work to do. This is just the first part of this long, long, long journey. But know that your mayor, your city is going to fight for an equitable lakefront that represents the best of our city. So with that being said, I want to invite Lisa to give her early preview of what's in store. Thanks so much.
Wow. That's a hard act to follow. Quite some inspirational words there from our mayor. So we're really thrilled to be here and to be here with our whole team and to share some of these initial ideas and sketches for the lakefront. And we always begin by sharing what we've heard. And I also want to recognize again our team from Robert P. Madison sitting here up front, as well as Cricket from my office in the back there. So at the beginning, in May, when we were last with you all, we shared some of our initial research and observations about the site, the history, the context, at a series of community visioning workshops. And since, we've sort of continued to reach out and collect stories and feedback and ideas. And they've really been focused on values and visions for the lakefront. So at the workshops, a lot of you guys expressed interest in nature and green spaces, and access to the water, and areas for sort of events that really promote a sense of community and belonging. The values that sort of came up really included fostering an environment that's inclusive and welcoming, that provides opportunities for an economic sort of growth and development, but also promotes sustainability, access to nature, public access, recreation, as well as the integration of history and art. The top reasons that people sort of wanted to visit had to do, again, nature and green spaces, community celebrations, festivals and events, and opportunities for affordable, which is important, dining and shopping. So in a spectrum, we sort of asked people, where do you fall on a spectrum of kind of urban to natural? And really there was a really strong preference. Everyone sort of was right down the center, kind of somewhere in the middle. And what that told us was that there was like a real desire for this balance and a combination of both, that you didn't have to choose one or the other, that these things could promote ecology, habitat, community, and culture. So there were a series of online surveys, many more than actually participation in the workshops themselves. But what we sort of wanted to share was that there was really strong alignment, actually, with the community visioning sessions. So people really wanted to prioritize just places to walk and bike and explore and sit and relax. It kind of tells you that that wasn't the impression of the downtown lakefront for them today. The idea of community events, affordable dining and shopping, nature, green space, water access, family-friendly areas, and recreation all sort of were important. When asked to select one area of focus, there was a really strong emphasis on water access and activities, as well as mixed-use development that really included shops and restaurants. But there was also a strong desire to showcase local ecology and natural habitats. So, I've been on one back, sorry about that. So one thing that's quite interesting, this may worry some of you, right? Sorry, why is that not there? This one may worry some of you. So the reality is that most people drive in Cleveland, right? But we were actually encouraged to see that nearly 40% of respondents to that survey, out of over 1,200 people, said they would bike. 34% said they would walk, and 30% said that they would take public transit. So these numbers to us really suggest a kind of move, because this was meant to sort of think in the future, towards a more pedestrian and bike-friendly city with affordable transit options. And that we really do feel is crucial to promoting both sustainability, but also general progress for the lakefront. I don't know why that is doing that. I am sorry. Okay. Hopefully this will sync up. So we also gained a lot of valuable insights through one-on-one interviews, which has really informed the initial design. And I wanted to share a sample of what we heard in people's own voices. Oh, no. Okay. Let me get to that again. No. Okay, even I have technical difficulties. Try this again.
So what would you like to see at or on the lakefront in the future?
I would like to see more parks.
In the coming years, more green space.
I would like to see a walking area where we could walk around the lake.
More places to sit and watch a sunset.
Possibly add some benches.
More picnic tables.
Interesting little shops along there.
Maybe some small business vendor events as well. I think that would be great for the community.
Maybe a couple of restaurants.
More live music events.
More things that would attract visitors to the city.
For me, I would like to see a roller skating trail / platform for avid roller skaters in the city.
Art installations are kind of interactive pieces for family and children.
Water activities on the lakefront.
I wish we would take more advantage of the water.
I would like to see maybe more of a beach area.
Cleaning of the lake and things like that.
Fairs and festivals where we would talk about the conservation of our water and how to maintain the area and keep it healthy and clean.
More playgrounds or activities for the kids.
More space for family, for kids especially.
More opportunities for young people.
I would love to see the city, the waterfront somehow, unifying the east and the west.
I like to see some people from the west side and the east side come together on the lakefront as well.
I would like to see all individuals have the experience of enjoying the lakefront.
We're going to bring the whole Cleveland as one down to the lakefront, enjoy, and have festivities together as Cleveland as one.
A very strong sort of alignment with your opening remarks, Mayor. So the red boundary in this drawing kind of shows the wider area for the Lakefront Master Plan, and it's intentionally large to really capture a more holistic approach with considerations for how the lakefront can better be integrated with downtown, connect to downtown, its surroundings, as well as other initiatives in the city. Today, we're really focusing on sharing our initial ideas for connecting to the lakefront, so specifically the kind of shape and character of the land bridge, as well as initial design concepts of what you do when you arrive there. So this is in the area north of the stadium and the existing parking lots. So while our initial work was really zoomed out, we talked about context, analysis, there was research and histories and values. Today, we're really zooming in to better understand the scale, the kind of potential of different types of activities and uses, as well as the look and feel and the character of the place. But then, after this, we'll zoom back out again and better sort of situate and stitch all of that into the city with your input. So to start, we actually did this for ourselves, but I find it extremely helpful, hopefully to all of you as well. We wanted to share some scale comparisons to really help you understand the scale and the potential of what is in approximately 20 acres north of the stadium. So we selected places in Cleveland that hopefully are familiar to you. Here you can see Edgewater Beach sort of overlaid on that area. Also Euclid Beach. Public Square, so you could fit 3 public squares here. And the Solstice Steps. So these were the primary sort of programs that we heard in those voices that you just heard with the surveys, everything else. It's kind of like smattering in notion for water, for festivals, for retail and dining, for play, for art, for sunset watching, etc. There's also, of course, the consideration of year-round use and sort of winter attractions and designs that really allow for a kind of different experience and transformation in the wintertime. So this gets us to the initial sort of concept designs. In our last round of workshops, we kind of put forward the following site observations, prompts, and ideas, and they were really about kind of embracing both the bluff and the skyline, varying the shoreline, thinking about equitable development, sort of celebrating the working waterfront, but also, and I think really importantly, this notion of fostering joy. So it's, yes, there's all the technical stuff, and yes, there's all the places, but it's also about a feeling and an experience. And so a number of design inspirations have really informed our thinking. So one is this idea of varying the shoreline and really creating both a dynamic and a kind of diverse set of experiences along the water's edge that don't exist today, with opportunities to really embrace the water in different ways depending on your relationship to it, as well as support its larger ecological health, which we feel like is an important responsibility that we have. The lake is not just a sort of resource for us to draw from, but one to give back to. This notion of whole history and the process of kind of exploring and telling and collecting personal stories and finding ways to integrate them into the design by creating, whether it's similar experiences or sparking new opportunities for storytelling. These are actually some of your stories that you have shared with us already. The lakefront has been called Cleveland's outdoor living room and Cleveland's porch, and this really has been a strong design prompt for us. It's really inspired ideas that foster this sense of belonging, provide kind of intimacy, and showcase individuality and diversity. And flow lines. So the site has been influenced by various movements over time, from indigenous lakefront trails to the Underground Railroad, and all of them have kind of left their mark through a series of flows. And these flows have really inspired the design vocabulary that you'll see, which really takes them into account, but also tries to create new ones. So here you kind of see our very early sort of sketches of flows on the site. And these kind of shape the site, but they also provide an organizational framework. And the key approaches include that varied sort of engaging and softened shoreline, this idea of strengthening the relationship between the city and the lake. We were sort of doing this with a series of interlocking loops that really reinforce the pedestrian flows and also connect the lakefront to landmarks, including where we are today at the Great Lakes Science Center, the Rock Hall, and of course the port. and also creating a lakefront for all, which really is dedicated and reflective of kind of finding a place for all those vision and values that were expressed by the community, this kind of balance of urban, natural development, and play. And these all kind of come together in an initial plan, and you can see those flow lines overlaid over the site here. You can see kind of two primary axes, the curved land bridge, which I'll talk about in more detail, connecting downtown to the lake and vice versa, that's shown as the blue line. The kind of urban promenade that reaches back into the city, that's shown in orange. And then these three kind of pockets that concentrate activities related to play, shown in pink, to nature, shown in green, and to development, shown in purple. And so as a closer, I'll look into each of these, I'll go a little bit closer into each, but when you look at the whole picture, so this is a kind of rendering, if you're a little bit of a bird floating up and looking back, you can see the land bridge culminating in a kind of open air amphitheater, similar to the Solstice Steps, and a kind of community plaza. There's the urban promenade, which is lined with kind of a lively ground floor uses. In the center, there's this kind of scoop that really creates this naturalized kind of shoreline with a series of porches, ledges, a beach, and wetlands. The western side features a sort of large sloping lawn, which is also perfect for sledding in the winter, with views of the working waterfront and the port. And the eastern side really has this large nature play area with sports courts, cookout areas, and a sun deck. And you'll kind of notice that there's also connections to the new stadium renovation, which is striving to create a really welcoming year-round destination, as well as Voinovich Park, which is right behind us, if you're looking out this window, and the new Rock Hall Expansions Community Park. So this is just I'm gonna sort of toggle between these so you can kind of see the difference. In thinking about what a master plan is today, and the purpose of this particular master plan, we wanted it, of course, to be community-driven, but we also wanted it to allow flexibility. So master plans are usually static, and we wanted it to be able to adapt to the market, to city initiatives, to funding sources, and other circumstances. So this approach really offers this idea that you could expand development, and that's what those two toggles are showing, the kind of village growing, but it still retains those kind of larger community vision and values. And that's really important to us, that if it grows, it doesn't sort of, impede or interfere with the larger gesture. So the design also uses topography. These are like if you were to cut a kind of cross-section through the site. It uses topography and features. These are, undulations, step-downs, hollows, seating areas. This creates sheltered and protected spaces, and they also help to vary the shoreline. And that approach not only increases comfort during the colder seasons, but it also allows for various activities to kind of occur in close proximity to each other. It allows for a kind of level of intimacy, and it breaks down the scale of the overall site. But it also intentionally provides a buffer between the development and the public space, which helps to kind of prevent the lakefront from being or even feeling privatized. So going into the land bridge, there were a series of guiding principles that really inform the shape and the character and the experience of it. First and foremost, we felt it had to actually land and touch down at the lake. The gesture of it, the actual reading of it, had to really be about the lake. We wanted it to be a dynamic experience. This is a journey, and one that should be sort of have drama and kind of, allow you to kind of take in the city. Of course, there were more technical things in terms of allowing for light to the convention center, reinforcing the actual pedestrian flows that exist today, and, a sort of goal to kind of have the orientation towards the sunset, and then, of course, to have a relationship to the rest of the harbor. So the arc-shaped land bridge, it's really a simple and pure kind of form that does relate back to the Burnham plan, but it provides this dynamic experience. So as you walk along the curve, the idea is that you'll kind of enjoy this constantly changing view of the lakefront, and you'll experience these moments where you can sort of have very different prospects and kind of orientations and a relationship to the city. There's a kind of split. You can see how there's a bit of a Y as it extends back to the malls and connects there. There's an idea for a new multimodal transportation hub that would connect up to the land bridge itself, as well as a connection down to the Great Lakes Science Center and the Rock Hall, and this kind of dramatic touchdown point at the end where it really slopes down and there's a kind of unfolding of it to the lake. So this is a view looking back to the city of the sort of landing. It provides this kind of perfect spot, of course, to take in the sunset, but also to the plaza below. There's a series of overlooks and gentle slopes and seating steps integrated into it, again, to kind of create this sense of drama and excitement. As you enter the space of the lake, we sort of want there to be an almost respect and awe of like you're entering into the space of the lake. And then it, of course, provides this equally compelling view back to the city. So this is obviously not fully rendered, a not full design, but we wanted to try to simulate the idea of actually traveling on the Arc. So here you're at the malls, you're starting to be on the Arc, you're crossing over the railway now in that opening below. As you're moving along the Arc, your vista and view sort of shifts, right? And you start to see the connection to the Great Lakes Science Center, to the Rock Hall. There's the sort of connection into the stadium for those going to an event or game day. There would be more people on this. And then, of course, as you sort of shift the Arc again, there's this moment at this end, at the very end, the kind of landing, this promontory where you're overlooking the lake and you see it, and then there's this gradual procession and step down to kind of enter into the space of the lake. So I'm just going to very quickly zoom into each area, and then we will get on our way for our exciting panel discussion. But this is a zoom in of the eastern area. So this is the area that's really focused on family-friendly activities, a large nature playground, sports courts, a cookout grove, and community kind of focused amenities that could be underneath the land bridge. You see there's a kind of tucked-in space there. You're also seeing, of course, where the landing ends, a kind of community plaza, as well as a water play area. And this is an image showing the nature playground and sports courts. They've cited to actually have a direct relationship to the Rock Hall and the Great Lakes Science Center, leveraging those institutions' mission for focus on education. And I mean, just looking at all the kids here today, I can just see them spilling out of the building and going on to the nature playground. It also kind of shows, I don't know if you can catch this in the image, but if you're on the land bridge, you get this elevated perspective, and so the courts and the nature play is sort of on display. It allows you to kind of be able to do all of that with this kind of vista above, looking down. And someone in our office got very cute and did a little fort of the Rock Hall and the Great Lakes Science Center in the background, if you catch that. This is an image of the central community plaza. So you're sort of on the landing, on the sunset sort of steps with the porches you can see and water play in the distance. We actually do have roller skating in this image, as it was sort of spoken about in the video. And then this potential transformation in the winter. So we're sort of trying to think of it again as a year-round experience. This is a kind of zoom in of the natural area, which is essentially like a scoop or a cove, and it includes what we're calling the porches, the lake ledges, the sort of beach and wetlands, and it really showcases a variety, a sort of really varied shoreline, and it's meant to transition, a sort of elongated transition from hard to soft, and so that allows places for exploration, for various ways to kind of engage with the water, and it also includes a kayak launch and path down to the beach. And this is an image sort of looking back a little bit up, but you can see the wetlands, beach, and ledges, and that view is towards Burke Airport. Maybe you can see that the show that happens at Burke there too. So the porches is really a concept for a series of very distinct porches. Each kind of has its own expression, individuality, personality, and flair. And they're envisioned as kind of these intimate places with different materials and styles. And aggregated together, they kind of create this notion of the porches, but individually, they're kind of these cozy, intimate moments for families and small groups. And we also see them as places to really integrate this idea of the whole history, of the stories, the histories, the names, and the other ideas for ways for them to not only tell stories, but be places where people come together to tell contemporary stories. So we're actually asking you as one of the questions to help us sort of think through what would your sort of porch be. And this is an image from inside one of the porches looking out to the lake, and you can sort of see the other porches in the background. And again, a kind of idea that these could transform into warming huts in the winter, places where you might not be so crazy to be out on the lakefront. So this is finally a zoom in on the western edge. So this is with the sort of neighborhood village, the development area, the promenade. You can sort of see with the fishing pier at the end, the lawn, and then these sort of series of garden walks that actually are right next to the port site. And this is a view back. So I think it really shows the relationship kind of back to the city. You know, you sort of see East 3rd Street, you see the kind of fishing pier that goes all the way back. You're going under the connector and connecting to the Great Lakes Science Center and Rock Hall. So again, trying to sort of bring and welcome people in from all of the paths that they go, including the new connector bridge. And that is it. I was going to leave this image up if it's helpful during our conversation, but thank you very much.
Good afternoon. All right, so this is on. Okay, cool. Wow, Lisa, what an incredible job. Thank you so much for walking us through these emerging concepts and the designs. My name is Mordecai Cargill. I'm the co-founder and chief creative officer for Third Space Action Lab. And it is my pleasure and my privilege to get this open house, this rap session started. I'm so glad to be here with some of my friends and some people I really, really admire. But you may not know this, some of you do. Third Space Action Lab, we always start with a soul check. And I wanted to really get this conversation started because part of the description of the guiding values and principles that we received as members of the project team, one of the guiding principles is about the lakefront as a place of healing. And it describes the lakefront as a perfect setting for a soul check. And so I figured we might as well just practice it. And so this question, as we sit right next door to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'm curious, who would be your dream North Coast summer concert headliner? Mayor Bibb, you get to kick us off.
That's a tough one. I'm going to take a point of mayoral privilege and maybe add more than one headliner. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to celebrate at the Rock Hall the 50th anniversary of hip-hop. And so I would do a hip-hop concert featuring Cleveland legends, Bone Thugs and Harmony, Kid Cudi, MGK, Chip the Ripper, Doughboy, Fat Al. Pretty dope to have hip-hop concert on the lakefront. So that'd be it.
Very own Bone. That's right. And you might not know this, but I think after Mayor Bibb has done his service to the city of Cleveland, he's going to be a DJ. I'm calling it right now. But I have a follow-up question for you, Mayor Bibb. What would it mean for Cleveland's lakefront, America's North Coast, to truly be a place of healing for our community?
Well, I alluded to this in my opening remarks. You know, for a long time, our city has been known as one of the most segregated cities in America. And the lake and the river has really been our dividing line between East Side, West Side, black and white. And if we as a city finally got this project right, I think it'd go a long way to heal some of the racial challenges we need to overcome in our community, but also give promise and hope to the next generation that, you know, this is a city for them, that they don't need to leave to go to New York or DC or Atlanta or LA to kind of get the experience they want. They can get it right in their backyard, right here in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right on. I love that. Thank you so much. I'm going to come to you next, Lisa. And I know you just got off the mic, but that's right.
Can I take my privilege and not follow the mayor?
Not follow the mayor. Not on this one. So you get to soul check next. So who would be your dream North Coast Summer Concert Series headliner?
I know, when you first asked this, I was like, my heroes are not alive, because it would be Prince and Bowie. But then I was thinking, okay, well, the Pixies are reuniting. That would be fun. And maybe the Roots. And again, I don't know, like having then a showcase of lots of others there, too.
Right on. So I'd like for you to kind of just elaborate and connect some of the dots between some of the emerging sketches and concepts around the lakefront as a place of healing. Like how has the field ops team like really taken on that charge to illustrate that?
Yeah, and I will say that the field ops team has gotten a lot of insight and help from you at Third Space Action Lab and your colleagues there, as well as many of you in the room and others. But so for us, I think there's kind of two ideas around healing. One is just this notion of creating a place that creates a sense of belonging and feels welcoming, and people hopefully can see that it's reflective of their own voices and what they said, and so therefore there's a connection there. And the other one I think is much more about, and I alluded to this, but creating literal sort of moves that begin to improve the ecological health of the city, the actual like promoting fitness, promoting walking, promoting like all of those other things, and that if this lakefront is able to do all of that together, it could really be a place that feels like, you know, a space where people feel hopefully welcome and healed, and they walk away and it's almost like they've had, you know, not a day at the spa, it's not going to be like that, but, you know, a very exciting and kind of like cleansing, you know, experience.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. And this stylish brother between Mayor Bibb and Lisa is Andrew Sargent. He's the newest member of the Cleveland City Planning Commission. He's also the director of open space and land use at Cleveland Neighborhood Progress. I may have messed that up, but Andrew, you know what I'm talking about.
It's all good.
You get a chance to add your contribution to the summer concert series. But I also wanted to ask you, as a person who thinks a lot about land use and about open space and creating more equitable public places across our city, what are some of the design aspects or features that are most interesting to you?
So to the first question, and I think I had a different answer when we spoke the other day, but I'm thinking again, headliner, 4 days straight, hashtag Drake on the lake, right?
Okay, all right.
See, it's already around him. It's already a win. He's actually on tour right now, and he left Ohio, but he went to Columbus and skipped over Cleveland. So I think
we don't talk about Columbus here.
I'm just saying, we bring the lake back, we get Drake, right? So that's my answer to that one. In regards to the amenities or the design aspects that I'm most excited about, I would have to say the arc gesture number one. I think, as Lisa pointed out, the vistas, the views, the kind of magic of going along, that simple but elegant form is going to be really cool. But of course, when it touches down, I believe the porches are going to be probably the coolest aspect of this. I think kind of bringing a unique thing of Cleveland's urban fabric, not just kind of the intimate activity of being on a porch with a friend, a beer, 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing, or even some of the more lively events around porches like Porch Fest. Bringing that to the lake and outside of the urban environment is going to be really exciting.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Mayor Bibb, I'm coming back to you. And, Steve Litz stole my question, unfortunately, but I'm going to ask it again for this audience. You're not the first mayor to try to propose a plan for the lakefront. In fact, there have been many plans over the past 100 years, not as many as Browns quarterbacks in my lifetime, I think. But what feels different to you this time around?
I think number one, we are coming out of the pandemic where every major American city in the country is trying to figure out what's going to make their urban core, their downtown unique. And the fact that we are not just a one waterfront city with the lakefront, but with the riverfront as well too, that's our unique value proposition coming out of the pandemic. And we can really reimagine our downtown with this new shore to core to shore strategy. To me, that's our sweet spot. Secondly, for the first time in a long time, we have a unified vision from City Hall and the county to finally put real resources and think outside the box in terms of a governing structure, an operating model, and a commitment financially to see not just plans, but shovels in the ground as quickly as possible to see real development on our lakefront. And then thirdly, water is the new oil. And, we are sitting on the banks of 20% of the world's fresh water. And so I think this is going to really show the world that Cleveland is an international coastal city with this amazing asset that I think will really change the trajectory of our city for the next generation.
Right on, right on. I got a follow-up question, and then I'm going to let Andrew go first next time, and then Lisa, you can react and build on it. So, Mayor Bibb, how is your administration and your advisors around you and this team of collaborators, how are y'all preparing for success? Since we're in this dream space, I want us to vision this thing possible, But what are some of the things that you have to prepare for or consider if this plan is successful?
One, I'd say first and foremost, this is an administration priority, right? Not only is every member of my cabinet locked in and focused on this, but they hold weekly and monthly meetings, holding themselves accountable to deliver on the goals and objectives we've outlined. I think secondly, it's so important to recognize that we can't do it alone at City Hall. So having partners like the Chamber, working with the county, and the other key stakeholders in the lakefront, from the Browns to the Great Lakes Science Center and the Rock Hall and so many others, helping us figure this out really goes a long way. And then I would also say, and I've been a big believer of this, go find the smartest people in the world and help us dream big. And I'm so excited we have Lisa and her team part of this project. When I lived in New York between 2012 and 2014, I was amazed at what Philco did in Williamsburg with Domino Park. And for folks that don't know, they took an old industrial sugar factory and made one of the best waterfronts in America in Williamsburg. And that changed that part of Brooklyn in a fantastic way. And so we wanted to make sure we bought the best and the brightest minds who've gotten complex projects done across the world and bring that kind of expertise to the city to help us get this done.
Beautiful. I love that. And just as a quick aside, y'all should have seen Mayor Bibb's face as he was looking at these designs. It was like a kid in a candy shop, and his eyes were lighting up. And I was seeing that on some other faces around this room. So, Andrew, I want to give you a chance to think to the future and think about success. Like, when this thing is done, what are some of the key considerations that we should be making right now to ensure that this plan lives out its commitment to making sure that this is a place that everyone belongs?
Well, I think we've been talking about this in the beginning of the process, making sure that the lakefront feels that it's owned by the entire city of Cleveland, not just the people who are close and proximate, and really talking about the key things that ostracize or exclude people from the lake and not shying away from those tough conversations. And then tackling those things front on, eliminating those barriers, whether they're socio-economic or a combination of thereof, and simply just making the lakefront a place that people can be proud of and are encouraged to come to, but then also welcoming when they get there. So again, if you feel like you're going to be priced out, that's not going to happen. If you feel like you can't be yourself at the lakefront, that's not going to happen, because we're tackling those things head on right now.
Beautiful. Lisa, back to you. How are you thinking about preparing for success in this design process? What are some of the key considerations that you're making, not just from a design aspect, but we talk a lot about programming. We talk about how to truly kind of represent a uniquely Cleveland brand. Like, what are some of the things that are on your mind?
Well, I think why, me and my team at Heart are, of course, designers. Probably the best and the biggest thing we can do, and what we've tried to do here, is to listen first. And so, honestly, we've just spent a lot of time listening and sort of really hearing what people are saying and asking those with you sort of deeper, harder questions. I think a lot of times what can happen when things don't go right is that there sort of isn't an openness to think about the unintended consequences of things. And so I think we're just trying to be proactive about thinking through things and doing it in a really thoughtful way. And at the same time, I think part of our process is also to be very iterative. So, we intentionally are showing sketches because that is a reflection on where we are in the process. And we're continually sort of working through things. We're genuinely sort of asking for feedback, and it is genuinely making the work better. So I think that there's a real commitment to that process too. And I think that goes back to creating that larger sort of feeling that people can feel like, together, this is a reflection on the values and vision for Cleveland.
Right on. Awesome. And unfortunately, we're getting really short on time, and I really want this conversation to go on forever, but I have to be responsible here. So maybe I want to give you one final question before we open up to the audience. And I have to modify it just a little bit, but I think you could do this. So my question for you is, what would 12-year-old basketball phenom Justin Bibb be excited about?
Basketball phenom?
Yeah, I don't know about that, huh? What would 12-year-old Justin be really excited about having just seen this vision for the lakefront?
My late father loved the water. He was always at peace by the water. And so I would say 12-year-old Justin would want to shoot hoops with his dad or fish by the lakefront.
Beautiful.
That'd be it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And can we give it up for this incredible panel? Mayor Justin Bibb, Andrew Sargent, and Lisa Switkin. Y'all are so dope.
And you.
And me, I guess. All right, cool, yeah. Well, we have a little bit of time. I think we could take maybe, or do you want to, first questions first, okay. I think we can probably take one or two questions before we open up for the open house. If there's no one with a mic, I'll come around and I'll come to you. Oh, okay. Let's go here first. Yes, sir. Please use the mic, yeah, so we can record it.
Young. Oh, thank you. Captain Don Young. I represent the Greater Cleveland Boating Association from pretty much Conneaut out to Port Put-in Bay. I love the design. I think it's a great initiative. It's heading in the right directions. But I see some issues that maybe might hurt it as it opens up. Has anybody thought about the other end of it with boating and the association of what between this wall and the break wall causes for the beach, for the fishing pier, and so forth? I'm not sure, I'm not seeing it, and that's why I'm asking. They never think of the boaters, which is a great economic value to the state. Thank you.
You're the expert on this, so.
Yes, I mean, we actually have had multiple conversations, of course, with the port and the channel and understanding all of that. And so you're right, we're sort of showing a larger vision on the one hand, but the space between the breakwater and the beach, there is a kind of lakefront trail that exists today, but there's no place to kind of rest and stop. And so this is meant to be a place for that while still ensuring that the larger channel has its access.
Beautiful. Thank you. This young lady in the gray here.
Yes, I wanted to know, so I live on a lakefront street in the North Collinwood area. Will this at all affect that? And will we attach to what Euclid is doing with their lakefront so that people can go all around the streets and Cleveland with this project?
Well, I mean, is this sort of a larger initiative to connect the entire lakefront, I think is the question, right?
Yeah, so obviously this master plan is primarily focused right now on the North Coast Harbor part of our current lakefront. But as an administration, we're really focused on making sure that the east side has broader access to the lakefront. That will long-term connect to the Cheers project, the work that Mandel Foundation and others have invested in as well. And the city has also helped to, through ARPA dollars, done some early investments to better connect the east side of Cleveland to the lakefront as well, too. So the goal long-term is to make sure that all of this is interconnected from the east side to the core of downtown to the west side.
Yeah, and I would just add that, you know, the ideas of where we're introducing, for example, bike trails, nature trails, lakefront access, that all is being looked at in a way where it ties back and connects to existing infrastructure as well as highlights if there's gaps.
My question was along the same line. I've been so excited by so much I see that's going to happen further east, kind of from 55th Street on. Is this going to come first and that comes second, or does that come first and this comes second?
It's
or
all
does it happen
happening at the
once?
same time. There's a lot happening at the same time.
That's it.
Sounds good.
Right on. That seems pretty clear. Okay. We're going to go to one more question.
I have a answer. You were talking about how do we end racism here, and by a big concert, not only with Bone Thugs and Harmony, but I'm also displayed in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm John Sly Wilson, the Sly, Slick, and Wicked. We were born and raised here. I would like to see us and Bone Thugs.
Let's do it.
The OJs,
Oh,
Tracy
yeah.
Chapman, and Wild Cherry, all of us stick together to bring in to show that Cleveland music did not have any racism. We didn't. We were all together.
Right on, right on. Okay, well, thank you.
That's
So,
a beautiful sort of way to think about healing, too. Yeah.
Awesome.
A gay black woman from Cleveland has the #1 song on the country music charts right now. We should definitely bring Sister Tracy Chapman home to do a concert for us.
Yeah.
Because she is #1 on the country music charts, y'all. That's for real.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. I think that we've run out of time for the formal Q&A, but we invite you to stick around and to join us just in the back for the open house, and to continue to bring your radical imaginations with you. We're so excited to continue to dream together. But before we break, I'd like to invite our incomparable Mayor Bibb back up to the stage. Thank you, Director Wong, for the handoff. We got one more surprise for you.
Well, we are celebrating a milestone of a man who is not just an icon in Cleveland, but an icon in this nation, Robert P. Madison, a special proclamation honoring his 100th birthday. Let's clap for that. And I want to invite Sandra, his daughter, to come to the stage and receive this proclamation. And the factoid that I just learned before we kicked off today's session is that Robert Madison and his firm has played a role in every development project here in the lakefront. So it's a testament to your amazing legacy in our great city. Congratulations.
On behalf of Robert, who couldn't be here today, but you know, he will be 100 and he's so excited. He's been celebrating all week, but he's a little tired. He's 100. So I'm here to say thank you. He's humbled by this. And as a man who, when I first came to Cleveland 30-some years ago, he worked on the North Coast Harbor Master Plan way back when. And I remember he brought me to one of them when I first got here. I'm from Baltimore originally. So I'm just glad to and happy and honored to be working with today's CFO to bring this, to his vision from years ago, even now. I mean, it's just remarkable what we're doing and what the mayor is doing. Thank you. I'm excited, and let's do this. All right.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your insights. I hope I haven't forgotten any critical directions in my excitement, but stick around and let's dream together. So thank you, thank you, thank you.